This is Mindset, mental health news and information. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm your host, James Curtis. What we do on Mindset is more than just bring you cutting-edge news and information about mental health. Instead, we connect that news with stories about everyday life, from parenting to relationships to living and even thriving with a serious mental health issue. So, take the Mindset Challenge. Dare to see mental health differently, because understanding why we do what we do can make us all do better. On today's show.
Pissed off, stressed out, burned out, or down in the dumps. All of these are common feelings men experience. But if felt regularly or ignored, these emotions can fester like an untreated battle axe wound and become dangerous. Use my man therapies to help deal with everyday emotions, strengthen your mental health, and even fend off mental illness.
Men, macho, and mental health. That was the voice of Dr. Rich Mahogany, therapist in residence at mantherapy.org. Even though Rich Mahogany is a fictional therapist, the brainchild of a partnership led by the state of Colorado's Office of Suicide Prevention, he could very well be the key to getting us, men, to actually ask for help before our lives get completely off track and we slide into crisis. But first, this news from the Mindset Report. The Mindset Report available online at mindsetreport.com. The Mindset Report, your most comprehensive online source for mental health news. Today's Mindset Report is underwritten by Responsibility, a complete guide to bystander intervention by Alan Berkowitz, who is committed to the idea that the solution to health and social justice problems requires that we engage as bystanders. Responsibility is available online at lulu.com, Lulu spelled L-U-L-U. And if you like what we're doing here at Mindset, log on to our website, mindsetshow.com. Go to the Support Us tab and shop our affiliate vendors. There you can find everything from electronics to vitamins. Purchases through our website help support our programming. From Time.com, a social networking tool, Panoply, jointly administered by MIT and Northwestern universities, is showing promise by helping users calm anxiety and reverse symptoms of depression. From Health.com, exercise has long been linked to better mental health, and you can become an exercise addict. The article features on Health.com 20 tips and tricks to make your workout a healthy and fun everyday habit. Tip number 1, get up earlier. A lot of high-profile cases and news reports have dealt with the following idea: the mental state of people who commit horrific acts. Think of the shooting deaths in the so-called American Sniper case, Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield, the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting, or the Germanwings airline mishap. One question surrounding all of these tragedies, that is, when does a mental health professional, a psychologist or a psychiatrist, have a duty to tell someone that their patient poses a danger? To better help us understand that question, I spoke with psychiatrist Paul Pori. In addition to having his own private practice, Dr. Pori also works with the UCLA School of Medicine at the Geffen School of Medicine Neuropsychiatric Institute. Here's some of that conversation. When does a psychiatrist have the ethical duty to tell someone that an individual that they are treating, a patient, poses a danger to either an individual or the general public?
There's the legal standards, and then there are sort of ethical considerations, and maybe one could say even moral considerations, ethics and morals, going hand in hand. Just starting with the legal ones, every state has its individual rules in terms of duty to protect or to inform. It was previously previously to protect and became primarily to inform, because how can I as a doctor go and actually protect somebody if someone is dangerous? I can't go and guard somebody, but I can inform the police and I can inform the person that they're at risk and things like that. So, I think the standard is generally to do what one can to protect the public interest when the danger to the public outweighs the basically the rights of the individual for privacy. So that's sort of the standard that goes with it. So, and that also accounts for the danger to the person. So, the ways that people can be hospitalized against their will, the consistent standard, not all states have this, is danger to self or danger to other people based on a mental illness. And then there's the standard of what we call in California grave disability, meaning inability to manage food, shelter, or clothing due to a mental illness. The grave disability, it doesn't exist in every state. But danger to self, danger to others is in most. And that's very much typically believed to be an imminent risk, meaning you have something that's actionable. You have something that someone plans to do. If someone says to me, I might go hurt somebody at some point, and they don't have any particular people, and they don't have any particular plan, that might not be able to be held in a hospital because, first of all, is that due to a mental illness that they're having thoughts for that? And then the second part is that something that I'm going to be able to treat in the hospital? It's, to give a counterexample for danger to self, if someone's suicidal, but they have suicide, if they're suicidal because they're homeless, for example, which happens all the time in hospitals, and someone says, I'm going to kill myself because I don't have a place to live, I don't have a place to stay, what do you do with that?
Right.
And so it puts a tremendous pressure on psychiatrists to be able to weigh the risk factors and to say, is there things here that we can prevent? Are there modifiable risk factors that we can treat in the hospital? And if there are modifiable risk factors, then we try and intervene. That's a common standard. And some people fall in another extreme where they will hospitalize everybody just to kind of cover their butts because they don't know what's going to happen and they don't want to get sued. And then there's people who go the other side and they discharge everybody and think people, are too, they will shout fire in a crowded theater, or they're crying wolf, I should say. That would be a better analogy. Too much. And that they just, they think that the risk is very low because suicide, for example, and violent incidents due to a mental illness is really, really uncommon.
Speak to the issue of stigma as it relates to, especially for men, keeping us from getting the help that we should, or asking for help, or availing ourselves of resources that might be useful.
I guess I would start, James, by saying that the, Western society, particularly American culture, with sort of, popularizing and celebrating, a cowboy and the, every man is an island and like the lone, rugged individualism, John Wayne, and all that, it develops kind of a celebration of, stoicism, I guess, that it's better for a man to sort of stand on his own than to admit that he ever needs help with something. And, it goes everywhere from a man asking for directions, which is like a cliche now, to, something much more severe, because admitting that someone is depressed or someone is struggling with something means not only that he needs help. In terms of stigma, it often means that he's flawed, or people tell themselves that, something like that if I need help in this means there's something wrong with me. And that's a big sort of ego blow for people to be able to say that, even if it might be true. And the real truth behind all of that is that, if you're trying to do any level of a team activity, which really all of life is, no one really goes through life as an individual, even though we like to pretend that we are, then there's a constant level of interdependency and exchange, and we all need to be relying on people appropriately, using the resources we have.
Paul Pori, he is a psychiatrist, also connected with UCLA's Geffen School of Medicine. For more of my conversation with Paul Pori, check our podcast. It'll be posted shortly after the show. Today's topic, men and mental health. We're looking at a site called mantherapy.org, mantherapy.org. It is a partnership among a number of different entities that is headed by the State of Colorado Office of Suicide Prevention. My conversations with the creators of mantherapy.org and Dr. Rich Mahogany on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Man Therapy is a place where men can come to be men. So here, we won't be complaining, whining, or moping about. won't be complaining, whining, or moping about. No, we'll be getting off our keisters and form-tackling feelings like anger, stress, sadness, substance abuse, and even suicidal thoughts head-on.
Welcome back to Mindset, mental health news and information. I'm your host, James Curtis. On today's show, we're examining a website for men and for those who care about men. It's called mantherapy.org, mantherapy.org. The first individual we're going to hear from in my conversation and examination of that site, his name is Joe Conrad. He's the CEO and founder of Cactus. They're an ad agency out of Colorado.
I'm Joe Conrad. I'm the founder and CEO here at Cactus. Our vision from day one is to help brands thrive in harsh environments and take on challenging situations. And the way we do that is by creating meaningful work that makes a huge impact. And so that's the journey that we've been on for the past 2.5 decades, and have had the opportunity to partner with lots of wonderful companies, foundations, government agencies, nonprofit organizations to do just that.
Is there anything different about the way you approach these types of issues, suicide prevention, mental health, mental illness, as compared to how you might approach? I saw a photograph on your site of a really delicious-looking sandwich. It was a hamburger or something.
Yeah, that's a great question, James. And I think the simple answer is no, that it's very, very similar. You know, we try to create messaging and through words and pictures that are compelling and relevant and motivating. And whether you're trying to get somebody to come in and buy one of your hamburgers or to pay attention and to, think about their mental health differently, we use the same techniques. And so I really believe that creativity and innovation can move the world forward and accomplish many things. Now, when it comes to an issue as complex as suicide prevention or mental health, there are certainly some unique challenges related to behavior change and health behavior specifically. And so, yeah, there's some unique techniques and best practices that we follow, but at its essence, we try to use the power of branding and creativity to solve for any issue, no matter what industry it's coming from.
Joe Conrad, CEO and founder of Cactus. You can find him online and his company at cactusdenver.com, creator of the mantherapy.org campaign. If you haven't checked it out, you can hear snippets of it today through my interview with the two folks that are the researchers and helped establish this concept. Check out the website. It is funny, it is interesting, and it's actually very, very effective. Next up, my conversation with the two individuals behind the content, the guts of the campaign that Joe Conrad put together. Sally Spencer Thomas, she's a doctor of psychology, a clinical psychologist. Jared Hinman is with the state of Colorado. He's the program director there.
Hello, I'm Sally Spencer Thomas, CEO and co-founder of the Carson J. Spencer Foundation.
Hi, I'm Jared Heinman, the Violence and Suicide Prevention Section Manager at the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment.
As a psychologist and a suicide prevention specialist, I have a strong professional interest in the work of men therapy. I also have a personal interest. I lost my younger brother to suicide in